Good morning, welcome to the vlog again. Actually, I always say good morning. It could be evening, could be afternoon when you're watching this. But anyway, welcome back to the Barbel vlogs. Yeah, back on the River Severn at Coalport again. In a peg that I've not fished before. The original plan this morning was to get here, and my friend Darren's come up from Devon. When we got here, I was going to put Darren in the next peg along, because that's the peg where I've always caught from. Get him a fish for his long journey, and I had a mind to drop into here. Unfortunately, when I got here 6 o'clock and it's not daylight till 6:20, it might have been 6:30 even, you can't get on till daylight. So there was a queue at the gate to come in, or not gate, queue on the road to come in, with Des Taylor at the front. He's got a couple of lads up with him to do a day's tuition. Yeah, so I said hello to him. I actually know Des. I did a day's tuition with him 4 or 5 years ago on here, and yeah, maybe that's why I generally catch on here, listen to what he told me. But yeah, that's another story. Anyway, so spoke to Des. He was going up into a peg 10 up from where I am. He normally drops into peg where I was going to put my friend Darren, but unfortunately then the person behind him was going in the peg that I was going to put Darren in. So I am denied about not even coming this far up the river and going somewhere else. Problem being here, there's no phone signal anywhere in this valley. Darren had got delayed in the motorway. M5 was closed, so he was about an hour's delay. And we'd already arranged to set up here, so I have come up in this swim. And Darren's turned up. He's got a couple of pegs down from me, down that way. But realistically, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 rods out in probably a couple hundred yards, and certainly myself, the 2 people fishing up from me, and then Darren, we're very close proximity together, so we're probably not doing each other any favours being this close together. So usual thing, we'll give it a couple of hours. I said to Darren, we'll give it a couple of hours and put the rods out, see what happens. I mean, I was trickling bait in for a good hour and a half, and before casting out, and the odd fish had rolled as bait went in, and I was so confident I'd get a bite straight away. I had the GoPro running, ready to capture it, cast it out. Yes, there was a few little knocks, which again, like the last vlog, I suspect with chub, and where I say I do that long hair, so you're less likely to catch a chub. I'm still getting the odd knock on them, but not a lot, to be honest. It's not looking very positive at the moment, and it's now, yeah, it's 8:05 now, so the rods have been out just about 45 minutes. We'll see, like I say, we'll give it another hour. If we're not getting indications fish are in the pegs, it'll be time to up sticks and move either up or down the river and give it a go somewhere else. But usual tactics, ground bait, bait wise, ground bait, pellets, broilers, got some dead maggots, corn, pepper army, there's one, pepper army. I can remember as a kid using pepper army and never catching on, but everyone always said it was good, and I still couldn't ever remember catching on pepper army. But that last trip up here, the last chub I had, the 5 pound whatever, that was on a bit of pepper army. So yeah, it's still in my armoury of baits to use. I'll just have, oh, we're in, here we go. Oh, that's a barbel. I think I've lost it. Yeah, I've lost it. Oh, lost it. Lost the barbel. That wasn't so good, was it? So yeah, I'm going to stop this now and get the baits back out, and we'll catch up later on. Speak to you soon. Okay, yeah, rods are back out. That was annoying, losing that. When I put that rig on this morning, I scrutinised the last probably foot of it. I'm denied, and thought, no, that looks alright. I couldn't decide if it was slightly chafed or whether it just discoloured, and I put it in the water and I thought it just discoloured, and yeah, no, the rig snapped, so obviously it was chafed. So I should know better than that. You know, it takes minutes to put a rig on. I've already got them tied up ready to go, so it takes minutes to put a rig on. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, the rods are back out. I've forgotten what I was saying. I think I was saying about the bait, so I've got my normal baits. I mean, that fish I've just lost was on the spicy sausage on the downstream rod. No, on the upstream rod with the swim feeder on and the ground bait mix going in. So ground bait mix for me is, it's a combination of Hinder's Blitz, the Sonu Bait spicy sausage mix. I put some little 2mm krill pellet in it, some 4mm krill pellet in it, bit of juices and glugs and things, which I'll dilute down with water at home. I'm happy to use water out of the water butt at home. If I'm really pushing, I've got nothing in the water butt, I will use tap water. But basically the ground bait's pretty much made up, so when I arrive it will have dried out a bit more overnight, so I need to put a bit more water into that ground bait just to soften it up and pult it out, so it breaks up nicely, you know. And yeah, so that's what I've done today. So yeah, I'm a bit more positive now that I've had a bite, because I wasn't getting enough knocks, but yeah, maybe they are out there and they're just shy feeding at the moment. So we'll see how we get on. Hopefully I'll try and get a take on video today, so there's a bit more on the vlog than me yabbing or holding a fish up for the camera. So yeah, speak to you in a bit. Hopefully still in this swim catching fish, but if not, maybe in a different peg further down the river. We'll see how it goes. Speak to you then. Okay, welcome back. Well, as you can see from all the green foliage behind me, I'm in a different peg now. So we stayed up in those pegs for, I think we stayed up there till about 10 o'clock and nothing was happening. I think I said when I'd finished the last bit, I'd just been snapped off by what I thought was a barbel. Well, I've now changed my opinion on that. Basically 20 minutes later I had the same sort of bite on the rod, and whereas barbel bite you get the tap 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 and then the rod goes, it was just a slow progressive pull down, a bit like if you fish the river in the winter and the logs come through your line and bent your rod over, more like that. So and then once you hooked into it, it was just holding bottom, big fish holding bottom, and then nothing, wind it in, half my rig's gone again. And I've just come to the conclusion that there was a pike in there. You know, there are some big pike in the Severn, and what was happening sometimes when I was putting baits out by the catapult, putting the ground bait out, the small fish would home in on the sound of the bait hitting the water, and suddenly you'd get a strike, but the fish never came out of the water to see if it was a pike or a huge perch or whatever, but something was attacking all those small fish, which I suspect was a pike, and that's probably what I hooked twice and then just bit through the line. So yeah, nothing there. And Darren was the same, nothing for him in his peg, a couple down from me. We both, you know, we'd had indications, little knocks. There were fish in the area, but certainly not barbel, and if there were, they weren't feeding. A couple of chaps who were along who had doubled up in the peg that Darren was going to go in originally, they'd had a chub each, and just as we were going, one of them had a small barbel. There's another chap a few pegs up from them, he's had nothing. And then Des with his two chaps that he's doing his tutorial today is he'd had two small barbel, and you know, when Des Taylor's not catching fish, you know it's tough. So yeah, it was just time for a move. I didn't think anything was going to happen there. There wasn't much indication. There was quite a lot of noise with so many anglers in a close proximity. So we've moved down to, I say moved down, I always say we've moved down because we've driven back from the way we come up the river, but actually the source of the River Severn is that way and it's flowing that way. So actually we've moved up the river, probably moved up the river half a mile, I wanted to have a go in a peg. If you watched one of my vlogs, I think it's called Fishing a Rise in River Severn, it may be called, and I go in a peg and I can only stay in there an hour because the water's coming up so fast. I had to move out of there, but I said I'd like to go back and give that a go. So I had hoped to go in that and give that a go today, but when I got there someone else was in that peg, so I'm not there. And Darren's in a peg also on that same flog that he fished for a couple of hours further along here in the donkey field, and I'm in a peg between where I wanted to be and where Darren is. Not been here before, but again, whilst the river's been this summer quite low, not much flow on it, taking advantage of the opportunity to fill bottom with leads. So I didn't put a rig on, just put the lead out, had a few chucks with a lead just to see what's out there. And there's a lovely willow tree dead opposite me, huge one, fill snag free all along it, quite smooth underneath it, probably at the moment 2 foot deep, but obviously in the winter that will be 4 foot, maybe 5 foot, depending how much rain we get. As you move along from there, there's another snag, and again, if you cast out to there, there's no boulders, it's all clear, nothing snagging the bottom, so that's an opportunity to fish. Diagonally right, I then perhaps a bit of a longer fish, a longer cast even, with the lead, pulled back like you would with a cart rod. It's going smooth, donk, 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 on a gravel bed. That rod's fishing on that gravel bed. Left hand rod is fishing on this willow tree, feeding baits down there in the hope that it's coming along with the flow and ending up where my rods are feeding, fishing even. Same with the right hand rod, where I'm fishing the gravel patch, I'm feeding pretty much straight in front of me, hoping that that's roughly where they should be landing, attracting the fish in. So yeah, and so the plan is to sit here now for, well, I don't know how long we're going to sit here. We'll see how it goes. Historically, this time of day now isn't when I catch fish on here. I'm not saying I've never caught in the middle of the day and the next few hours, but it's not often. The sun's high now. It's meant to be cloudy today, but the sun keeps breaking through, which isn't doing any favours. The water's still clear. It has risen a bit from the last time I came because there's been a little bit of rain, but the river is very clear. And yeah, hard to catch in full sunlight, but we'll see what happens. I'll either update this later in this peg, hopefully with a fish, or in Darren's peg because he's had a fish, or it may be somewhere else. But anyway, I'll keep this updated with how we get on and speak to you in a bit. See you then. Okay, welcome back. Last Chance Saloon in our third pegs now. So yeah, we're right up the other end of the river now, in the deepest end of the river, and see what happens. At least it's a bit cooler up here. Those pegs we were in before, other than when I initially did the vlog, when it was cloudy, the sun came out and it was just unbearable sitting in the sun. And yeah, nothing was happening, no knocks or anything, so we've upped sticks and come up to here. Oh, just see, I've got a couple of sheep next to me. And behind me, yeah, behind me as well. So yeah, so we've come up here, rods are back out again, and as I say, last chance saloon really. Hopefully nick a fish each today from these pegs. So I don't know what to say really about the day. I think, and the reason you're not catching chub is that I put the GoPro in the water in the first peg I was in. There is an abundance of fry at the moment, and the chub will just be gorging on those. I don't know if barbel eat other fish, but chub, they love a live bait, so you know, they're not really looking out for our pastes, pellets, boilies, meat, whatever we put out there, when they've got loads and loads of live bait to eat. So I'm guessing that's the reason you're not getting much action from the chub. You know, you're getting the odd knock on the rod tips, but yeah, not much action and no chub being caught. So well, nothing being caught. So we'll see what happens. And as I say, it's cooled down a bit now. It's certainly getting a bit more overcast, and we're both in pegs that we've fished before and have caught from before, so fingers crossed we can get something on this vlog and it's not the first blank of the season. So yeah, let's update you just before we go home, or with a fish, whichever comes first. Speak to you soon. Okay, well, gonna wrap this vlog up. It's still got a couple more hours we could fish, but I say it all the time, we've both had really long journeys home. So both left home just after 3 this morning, so time we leave here, get home about 9 o'clock, so yeah, quite a long day. Us old boys, we can't handle these long hours, so yeah, gonna call it a day. Yeah, sadly no barbel today. Did manage to winkle out a chub in this peg, £5 2 ounce. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been so happy to catch a chub, to be honest, because it saved the blank. Unfortunately, Darren's lost one fish this afternoon, had a take, and yeah, just lost it. So it's not been for a want of trying. You know, we've been in 6 different pegs. I don't know how many different baits we've tried to finally get that chub. I shortened the hair so the baits were closer to the hook, so you've got more chance of hooking a chub, whereas normally I leave them long because I'm after barbel preferably, and the odd chub still gets caught like that. Yeah, the ground bait, I put maggots and corn in it just to try and get fish in the area, which would hopefully draw other fish in. But yeah, unfortunately everything's failed today miserably. So obviously I did 2 hookups this morning, which I'm 100% certain was, well, can't be 100% certain, 99% certain they were a pike, so because of the cut-offs on the hook link, and yeah, the one chub. So that's it. It's yeah, a bit disappointing, but just goes to show, you know, you can't always be catching. I think my last 2 vlogs, I think I had 7 barbel and then 9 barbel, so yeah, I was probably due a tough one, and today was a tough one. So yeah, that's September probably done, and try and get back in, well, I don't know, October. I've got some holidays coming up, family holidays coming up. Hopefully I'll get up in October, otherwise it'll be try and get 2 in November if not. By then I should think the river will have risen a bit, had a bit more rain, have some colour in it, have some flow in it, and yeah, be a different kettle of fish and hopefully more barbel. Anyway, thanks for watching, and hope you've enjoyed it, albeit there hasn't been much action, just me talking again. And yeah, see you on the bank soon.